when you asked me to watch something with you...
Yeah, I didn't tell you that in the search terms, I put the worst top 10 co-op games list into Google.
I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared if it's lolly anime.
It's not lolly anime.
Oh, okay, it's not lolly anime again.
No, not like last time.
Oh, thank God.
It's a video about co-op games.
Okay,
they got their keywords down, we get it. Hang on, we've got you covered with these promising co-op games. What do we think the definition of promising co-op games is? Let's see.
Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the top 10 new co-op World War Z. That includes the entire Game of the Year edition.
So yeah, they were. Yeah, so it was day one DLC. Which, you know, is still pretty scummy in my opinion. I know not everyone shares the same view, but I think so.
That was established in the World War Z movie.
Best movie ever!
Considering he's referenced back to Left 4 Dead already so many times, I'm already thinking, well, why don't I just go play that? Do you know what I mean?
Most people have that. They won't even have to buy it. And especially not with a couple of shitty content packs. Sorry, what would he not necessarily call the best?
Left 4 Dead, and ultimately a pretty good game. I wouldn't necessarily call it the best, but getting the best version of it, the Game of the Year version with all of the extra content there, with more content on top of that. Honestly,
So, hang on, I just want to hear the end of this sentence. Honestly, part of his complaint with the original game...
maybe wasn't long enough. This version, you definitely get enough to do for the money.
This game wasn't out at the time this video was.
I'm just clicking on more stuff here.
This is one of the top 10 new co-op games for 2021, Eve. The top. It's got to be great because it's high budget.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff, Eve.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Pre-order.
It's available for pre-order. You might be able to play it soon.
Yet, but it will be coming out.
Yeah.
So you don't have a release date for it yet. It was released just over a month after this video.
Okay, so he's done this.
I can't believe you've done
so let me hang on. You might even have to draw a chart for this.
I don't think we need to, because everything we need has been summed up on the screen right now.
This game looks very much like it takes a lot of inspiration from both Left 4 Dead.
I think there's actually some...
you were saying something about referencing Left 4 Dead.
There's a hidden message here, babe. And the hidden message is, I think Left 4 Dead and Gears of War is actually the only games he's played.
Maybe so. Certainly Left 4 Dead.
There's any number of other co-op games. I wouldn't just keep referencing back to the same two games.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's any number of...
No, you would point out other elements you recognise from other things. You might go, ooh, and it has some of the sort of satisfying target destruction of binary domain, you know? How many co-op games do we think are released in your average year? How many is this selection out of? There must be some competition to this list. So what qualified these games to be on the list when he hasn't played some of them? Some of them weren't even released at the time of review.
Some people might argue and say, okay, well, you're being just a little bit shitty because it's top 10 new co-op games, but that's it. What if this year alone there's been 40 new co-op games? What makes these the top 10?
And especially ones that aren't even out yet. Exactly. You have to be able to at least get a gauge of the quality of a game if you can recommend it to be among the top 10 released in a year.
I want to see if I can actually send this guy, just stickman rolling art with the concept of a game and a check for about $1,000 and say, can you just talk about this game, please? Because here's my stickman concept. I mean, there will be footage at some point. Just see if they roll with it. If they even just do a written article about it, yeah.
Aliens Fireteam wasn't released at the time of review. It has been since, and people have said good things about it, which makes a big change for the Aliens franchise. With the exception of Isolation.
It takes more than a silly computer game to scare me. Yeah, you are.
Don't come for me! You're responding to a distress call. It's not the most original or intriguing story that you're ever going to hear.
It's the same story that's been in every Aliens game ever, pretty much.
It's actually going to be a good game. To be frank, these types of level-based co-op shooters, whether they're
It's going to be because no one was under the impression that Colonial Marines was going to be a good game before it was released. No one no one ever got lied to about that release and had a misleading sense of quality.
Believing it's going to be a good game isn't enough to make it a good game.
Especially now. Yeah, consider Cyberpunk. People were literally sucking CG Project's red cocks as the greatest developers of all time up till the release of Cyberpunk. And then look at the travesty they unleashed upon us.
Yeah.
But yeah, his two favourite games are there again.
So, a lot of good world building. But if they nail the game...
Good world building? The franchise has been on the downhill since, like, I was a child.
So that was a perfect place to pause it, but if they nail the gameplay, I still don't know, because guess
he doesn't at this point.
I didn't even get to fucking beta this.
Yeah, that's just it. You would expect him to at least have some kind of go with it.
But if they nail the gameplay, it's a great universe to set one of these games in. But if they nail the gameplay, it's also a great universe to set a game in if you pick a world like Fantasia.
Yeah.
So
you could do a horde shooter co-op in Fantasia. I could see that.
I mean, you know, especially if you're rescuing
I'm amazed
all the
Disney haven't already. They probably have.
Don't go giving them ideas. Listen, we're going to have to... We're so going to have to
Eve, have you seen the new Star Wars shit? They need ideas.
I so far have zero faith in this guy, but let's carry on then.
Look, with 2 minutes in, he's got plenty of time to prove that he's actually played it.
2 minutes in,
he might have played a third game in his life, Eve. We might find out he's played a third game. I'm just going to interject there and say that when Aliens Fireteam Elite was released, people seem to generally think it's all right. Not amazing, but it's all right. It's certainly a hell of a lot better than Colonial Marines. But he couldn't have fucking known that at the time.
Yeah.
And it comes across quite a lot in what he said, that he had no real idea as to what the quality of the game would be.
We've got you covered with these promising co-op games. I'm starting to realise what that means now.
I think we are getting a better idea of what promising means, yes.
I don't have faith in Falcon right now.
I don't have faith in Falcons generally.
Is The Ascent, which is somewhere between a Diablo action RPG and a twin-stick shooter along the lines of Enter the Gungeon, that kind of thing.
It looks pretty, though.
Yeah, it does, yeah. But an isometric shooter is a Diablo game? Did we not have isometric shooters before the Diablo games were a thing? I could have sworn I played a couple on the Amiga.
I mean, I'd also like to see if he actually references Cyberpunk to this, because it does. It's looking very cyberpunky.
Yeah, very, and probably did pretty well out of the post-cyberpunk misery.
Things are not as they seem. This game's actually gotten a
fair
big
corporation's
play around the office here. It has some major
question mark.
Around the office, people played it.
Fuck! I missed that. Yeah, no, they played this one.
People played this.
I wonder how far they played it. I wonder how far into the game this actually is. Yeah, he's showing sections of the Steam trailer. Okay, so yeah, they've been playing it around the office so much that they don't have any of their own actual footage on it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, that maybe they don't do that. Maybe they just review and you figure the trailers look better in their videos, but it doesn't lend any credence to someone we're already doubting, does it?
Beautiful environments, and although there is some jank that could be fixed over time through patching and a little bit of work by the developers, it's also a game that a twin-stick action RPG that doesn't feel like it goes too far in either of those.
No. So the game is janky.
Let's have a look on the Steam Deck. 72%. Main quest bug tried to fix and the game crashed 5 times across 4 co-op players. Buggy as hell, fix your shit. Okay, so it's mostly positive reviews, but most of the negative ones mention bugs. Even a couple of positive ones that mention bugs and crashes. No mention so far of the developers doing much about it. But, you know, it could go in either of those directions. What directions? Probably Left 4 Dead and Gears of War.
Directions while maintaining fun stuff from both. Again, there is some quirk, so it's not like a straight recommend, but I would recommend.
Not a straight recommend, but it's number 8 in a top 10.
Yeah. I mean, considering the bugs and whatever, that you've mentioned with it and stuff, surely this should be number 10.
I mean,
let's be fair.
If it's bad enough that you've spent half of the time talking about how janky it is, then maybe it just shouldn't be on this list.
Yeah.
Like, for a top 10. Like, you know, when we considered doing a top 10 list, we had to kick various games off basically because they are buggy. We may absolutely love them and had tons of enjoyment with them, Guild 2, but they're so buggy we can't recommend them to other people because we don't want people coming back to us and saying, hey, you told me I should play this broken pile of shit.
It's one of those games where if you can get past some of the things, it's genuinely one of the best.
But like the trailer
games. Reboot for the Warriors series.
Kind of has to be though, doesn't it?
Samurai Warriors isn't Dynasty Warriors, but at the same time it's kind of the newest mainline version of the game.
What you mean? It isn't, but it is.
Let's be fair, they are the same game. It's just one skin for China, one skin for Japan.
Yeah.
Other than that, they are the same game.
Happy to find out that they were going back on a lot of the decisions that were made for Samurai Warriors 9, which kind of made it into a bad...
Don't you mean Dynasty Warriors 9? Seeing as you're now talking about Samurai Warriors 5. But he's saying that it's good because they've gone back on the shit that made Dynasty Warriors 9 crap.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors games have been on the downhill long before Dynasty Warriors 9.
While, yeah, for quite some time now.
Certainly in terms of like how much they try and rip off their audience by, ripping weapons out and selling them back to you later, which I'm certain this one has done as well. Samurai Warriors 5, DLC, Season Pass. Oh, you can buy horses too, sort of like that. Additional weapon sets. Yep. Hey, babe, you want a Naginata, a ninja blade, or a ninja blade, really? I'm assuming that they're keeping with the mechanic where characters are basically just a skin that you can attach any weapon to now, which really helped to remove any diversity or interest in specific characters. Oh, they're selling scenarios to you as well.
Okay, so
basically they've chopped out big chunks of the game and they're going to sell them back to you on a season pass. That's what it is. Or I guess what this would have been once upon a time is probably not all of it, but to a certain extent some of this would have been in the Extreme Legends expansion packs when they used to do those. But the thing is, the Extreme Legends expansion packs usually came with their own campaign and usually entirely new mechanics. Like one of them had like invent your own officer.
£80 for a couple of horses, a few weapon sets.
Well, you will actually want the weapon sets because I'll guarantee they've cut so many out of the base game that you'll really be wanting these ones.
I mean, but are you joking me?
And several scenarios with the music as well. Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean,
I'm still
frankly,
up my purse.
for how basic the Warriors games are, I feel 55 quid even for the basic edition is too much.
It's too much money.
They are very simple games. They are not worth the money they ask. This new graphical style, this weirdly comic booky thing they've suddenly done.
I mean, when you consider how much money they're wanting for the game, I honestly think that the style that they've gone for there looks a bit lazy.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Sword Art Online games. And those are notoriously lazy, cheap pieces of shit.
Yeah,
this is a big budget game, so it must be worth covering and telling people it's worth playing. Yeah, that's what it smells like. Yeah. Amongst other things. Okay, so you got to play it online.
But it's certainly worth the time. It is a much better game than Dynasty Warriors 9. While it certainly doesn't carry the same kind of extremely large roster as previous titles, the gameplay is probably some of the best that they've offered in the entire Warriors
They've reduced
series.
the amount of characters.
Roster,
They haven't increased the amount of soldiers on field or in fights at the same time by the looks of it, which has always been my hope for Dynasty Warriors and the Warriors games, is that we would actually have battlefields that feel like battlefields rather than just little skirmishes here and there on a big field. And I'm assuming as well, I've certainly not heard anything about them improving anything about, say, siege mechanics. In fact, I haven't even seen a siege in any of this footage. I'm not even sure if they have sieges anymore.
To 10 other players.
So 11 players in total.
Game that gives you all of the interesting survival options. It is a robust offering at only $20.
That's true.
This is a game I've seen lots of groups of people say is great to play.
This is a game I've seen lots of
people say is great.
He's basically just read reviews online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who would have thought as well that a co-op multiplayer survival game would be great to play with friends online?
You don't do that with co-op games.
No.
Clearly, never.
No.
So he's seen groups of people say...
Other people have said this game is good, so it should definitely, without any experience of his own, be at number 6 on his top 10 list for the whole year.
Yeah.
It's based off of other people's opinion. He has no experience to be recommending any of this shit. He's never played the game.
Friends or as a family, because you get to build a base, ultimately a village, and
Really?
the way that everything plays out is quite good.
What a sterling review. You get to build a base, ultimately a village, and the way things play out is quite good. I've got to say, based on that review, I'm going to pick up Valheim a second time.
Do you know, I had a stale donut the other day, and it was quite good.
Yeah, I had a shit earlier that was the same.
Yeah, describing Valheim as quite good. It's like saying, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, very much so. And as it's very much like a standout low-budget survival game, it really does stand out from the competition. Like, if we were to sit here and try and sum up a review of Valheim, we'd probably be here 20 minutes minimum. Like, probably still be just talking about how good it looks despite the crappy graphics and textures. It played quite good. That's why it's number 6 on the top 10 2021 list. It played quite good, babe.
It's quite good.
Also, it now has 10 players max, not 11.
Again, it's only 10 players, so if you've got a circle of friends that's interested in it, it's not an expensive game, and as long as you're all connected to the internet, you can all play together pretty easily.
Just like in the 1990s.
Yeah, you are going to have to just clip in some 90s classic, songs there.
It's good that this makes it into a recommendation for a Steam game as well. The Steam makes playing with friends online about as simple as it can possibly be, while we still have to use our hands to interact with computers. But no, Valheim, you could play together pretty easily.
As long as you're connected to the internet.
The better survival offerings of the year, it works out in a really...
Have you played
way.
any survival
Again, it's
offerings
out
this year?
access for PC right now. At number 5 is Monster Hunter Rise, which is the Nintendo Switch version.
I was going to say, there's been more games on Switch, hasn't there?
I mean, Monster Hunter's been like all over the place, primarily on handhelds for years. Like, the first Monster Hunter I played on PS2.
Yeah.
And it's kind of danced all over various consoles and handhelds, and then eventually popped back onto PC as well, like with Monster Hunter World.
But I mean, the way he's worded that and summed that up, it sounds like the first one.
I think he might be of the opinion that Monster Hunter World might have been the first Monster Hunter. It is not implicitly implied by what he says, but it does kind of fit with what he says. Yeah.
He probably read it somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
Mechanics that were established in Monster Hunter World, but...
The mechanics that were established in Monster Hunter World. I do hope you only mean... No, actually, I can't think of any mechanics that were established in Monster Hunter World. I think Monster Hunter World only used mechanics that had come from previous titles in the series. It just drew on a very good set of them at the same time. Feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it actually introduced anything completely new. Maybe the insect glaive bug thing? No, I'm sure that was in a game before World. Thing is, I didn't play any of the handheld ones, so I've got a huge gap between the first one and World. Yeah, but he's already said how many people the game supports, so yeah.
But we already know he doesn't know how to count from that Valheim episode, so...
Yeah, but that's just our doubts clouding. It's making you doubt him now, Eve.
Well, he's only done it to his fucking self.
Far Cry 6, the latest in one of Ubisoft's
largest goody
franchises.
Ubisoft. Who doesn't want to fund them?
On a fictional character.
They did
it actually looks like the actor who played Gustav in Breaking Bad.
It does contain one of the most high-profile actors from Breaking Bad, the gentleman who plays Gus Fring as the dictator.
Oh my god! Oh wow!
I should know his name. I can't remember now.
He's taking a very interesting approach to it. They're not portraying him as just
actually
an evil dictator, but as somebody who actually does care about his country. Honestly, it looks like a really good take on Far Cry. You're going to be seeing makeshift weapons, vehicles. You're going to be hiring various people to take part in your guerrilla action. There's animal animal companions with a new system called Fangs for Hire.
What does that actually tell us?
Not a lot.
It's what I'm hearing from this is that even he was struggling to fill in time other than saying it's the next Far Cry game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exactly what you expect from the next Far Cry game.
Yeah. We've just put 6 at the end of it. Yeah.
And admittedly, that's more of a criticism of the game than the reviewer, but if that's all you can come up with to try and sell us on a game, maybe it shouldn't be number 4 on your top 10 games list.
Yeah, yeah. He was saying it's coming out in October, and he did this review in August.
It looks like a remake of his favourite game is up next at number 3. Who would have thought?
It's going to be great. It's going to be a nice, much better looking version of
going
the same
to be
gameplay we've
again.
For years and years. I can't personally wait for it. That's landing on the PlayStation.
I can't wait. It's my most hyped game of this list.
At number 2 is It Takes Two, an action-adventure platforming game that requires co-op. It is the story of a married couple that are planning on getting a divorce.
Because every co-op list is putting this on at the moment.
This is all gameplay footage that I've seen spewed out.
Oh yeah, that's because this is from trailers and teasers and stuff.
And it's a really interesting story to be told that incorporates all the mechanics into the story very, very well. This game has been out for a few months.
Maybe that is decent game design, but maybe this is a personal issue of mine, but I fucking hate theme park games. I hate any game that basically goes, hey, here's a new mechanic, use it for the next 10 minutes, then forget it even exists because we're going to do something different. Yeah. It's like, I want a game that I can, play and continue to play because I like the mechanics in that game, not have it just constantly throw different stuff at me. I just really don't like this concept that it's like, oh, it's a couple that's going through divorce, and now they're going to force fix it. I get what you mean. I think the thing for me is that, okay, if they want that to be their plot, that's their plot. But it feels like the kind of plot that is aimed at the children who are affected by divorce, whilst actually being a game that's aimed at the couple themselves. Do they think that a couple on the brink of divorce are actually going to sit down and play It Takes Two? No, they're not even going to be in the same room at the same time. So... Yeah, so I don't get who it's supposed to appeal to, and frankly, like from the standpoint of a couple who is not going through a divorce, who are actually quite happy with each other, I don't really want to be sitting around trying to fix someone else's broken marriage. It's not like it's not something that's ever really occurred to me to be of interest. Basically, everything about the game intensely annoys me. Anyway, it's out or something. Was it out? I doubt you played it. I don't think you played it. It has to be a zombie game. The original Dying Light. It retains God, tell me how much influence it took from Left 4 Dead. Out of all the co-op games released in the whole of 2021. In all of 2021, why is this so special? I mean, this game better have salted caramel on its nuts for me to suck, because it's come here. Not out till next year, coming February 2022. Wow. His number 1 pick for new co-op games of 2021 will not be released in 2021. So, how much of this game has Falcon played? Yeah, I'd like to know.
It is a more exploration-oriented title, and the narrative is supposedly going to be branching in a very interesting way. This is one that's been a long time
supposedly.
coming.
Supposedly. Yeah, this is supposedly.
They deliver on the promise of a quote-unquote narrative sandbox. And I think that it's going to be a really interesting experiment at very least. My hope is that it's even better than the first game. That's coming
that
to
would be your hope of a sequel. Yes.
Microsoft Windows on December 7th. And a bonus game for you as well. Deathloop, but not as...
We need to just say about Dying Light 2 before we get into this hilarity that I had no idea we'd get this bonus feature at the end. Dying Light 2 is no doubt, I agree, very likely to be a fantastic co-op game. The first one was really good despite its very bollocks story. But that's just it. He's recommending a game that's not even going to be released in the same year that he's saying it's going to be one of the top 10 games. I mean, he said on his thing... premature.
Yeah, I mean, he said on his thing there, December, but clearly they've pushed that back. You can go ahead and pre-order this game, which I highly recommend that you fucking don't, seeing as of the system requirements, they don't even know what you're gonna bloody well need.
Oh, much as I'm fairly confident this won't be the case, like, all that footage could, in theory, not actually be in-game.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it'd be the first time someone had cheated us on what is supposedly in-game footage. It's all bullshit. Granted, all this very much looks like it is.
Of course, when I'm watching a video for top 10 co-op games, of course, what I really want is this, a PvP game?
Yeah.
A game that has nothing to do with co-op? Why are you even talking about this on here?
You know, 'cause...
Work in a way that invasion mechanic kind of works in Dark Souls. Just help out the first. That functions as co-op, and it's actually pretty interesting because it's an unintended consequence of how the game works. And that's all for today.
Okay, so basically you can kind of jank the game. It's supposed to be competitive, but
to begin with. Yeah, so I don't even know why that was tacked on to the end of things.
Because you can fuck about, sort of, a bit co-op-y, maybe. A little bit. Doesn't seem worth 50 quid each, does it?
No, it doesn't. All I feel at the moment is, like, I just have, like, zero interest in any of those games. I would even go so far as to say I probably would have had zero interest in Valheim based on what he said on it, if it wasn't for the fact that I've already played it.
I think he actually managed to review Valheim without ever saying the word Viking.
And that's because he's never seen it.
Yes.
Frankly,
was he even looking at the trailers when he wrote this?
I wouldn't be surprised if that would be a no.
Like, all he's done there is said, hey, these hyped games are hyped.
When you asked me to watch something with you...
Yeah, I didn't tell you that in the search terms, I put the worst top 10 co-op games list into Google.
Yeah, the way this has been put together, it's awful. I mean, obviously it wasn't intended to be worst co-op games.
No. No, he
Oh.
legitimately thinks he's recommending... Well, he's recommending titles, but the thing is, like, even he surely can't say, I legitimately believe I'm recommending good games. Because how would you know?
And how you can make this when some of the games are only coming out in 2022.
Yeah. And you can say you didn't know that at the time, but that is the problem with putting unavailable games in a top 10 list for you. Building on the point that, you know, he's probably handed a script or, like, doesn't really know what he's talking about. I believe Valheim's the only game he comments on the graphics of and says it's an incredibly pretty game. And I'll agree with that because as we've discussed while playing it, like the atmospherics, the environment and things like that in Valheim are fantastic. Like, it really does immerse you in the environment. Yeah. But when we're saying it's a very pretty game, that's not strictly true, is it? It's got very basic textures to it. It has a very good combination of graphical elements that make it shine, but it's not actually a very pretty game. When we take into account that his first on the list was a game that looks like this, with super sharp graphics.
Yeah.
And The Ascent, which, as we said, like our first comment on this game was, wow, it looks beautiful. You know? But no, Valheim's the one whose graphics shine above all of this, including Far Cry games. It Takes Two, which again looks like a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And finally into Dying Light 2, which looks fucking amazing. You know, like the very realistic lighting effects they've got going on there. But no, Valheim's the one that really stands out graphically over these other 9 titles. Really?
There is no, like, real definition to, like, your character's faces as well. I mean, yes, you can see that they've got eyes and a mouth and
they
stuff.
They have a face.
But I mean,
about.
You've got better facial textures when you're playing, say, something like Skyrim, for example.
Like, unmodded Skyrim, like, legitimately looks better than Valheim.
We game individually, but we also co-op game. a lot, and we're always looking for more games that we can play together. Especially, just as two players, as a couple. I would be up for doing a video where we actually give our opinion and review on games that are out there, for co-op, because,
games
like
we've
I say,
actually played.
The games we've actually played, because there's nothing more frustrating than, I'm looking at some of the games here on this list, and it's like, we are hoping it's going to do this and meet this expectation and whatever. And
what about the games that actually did?
Yeah, what about the games that actually
the games that lived up to expectations and are worth playing?
Okay, they might not be released in 2021, but they still look good. They still play good.
But yeah, I think World War Z is 30 quid, so it's a little below main value. But it's not like most of us can afford to just pick up all these games on the off chance they're good.
Yeah, just
because some guy who never tried it said it was probably, because the hype seems to indicate it is. I wonder if he did a review on Cyberpunk or recommended Cyberpunk on a list like this beforehand.
Tactical cool shooting
in
space?
I like space. I like the absence of matter.
We're looking at this game doesn't look real. Like, there is so much cool stuff.
No, it looks so like a very definite Halo rip-off.
This is a 3D shooter called
Still looks like
Omega,
Halo.
different species are fighting for its resources. It kind of reminds us of
Sounds
Crisis mixed
like
with Transformers
Halo.
and Power Rangers a little bit. It's over the top.
Did you consider
sci-fi
Halo?
Robot man jumping around, blowing stuff up, and really
I don't
pretty
even like
environments.
Halo.
And the next
thank you for inviting me to watch something with you tonight. I didn't realize that you would have just life trolled me into watching a really, really badly put together list of co-op games.
Look, I wanted to see if we as a couple could find more, fun co-op experiences that we could share together.
That certainly has been a fun co-op experience we've shared together.
This is likely the last video we'll be putting out in 2021, so from all of us at CIG, I'd like to say thanks to all of you who sit around watching our crap. Whatever you're doing over the next couple of weeks, we hope it's hilarious, and if it is, tell us about it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it.
On a new adventure.